Diddy will go to prison for life, people. You don't know things that I knew about Diddy back in the day.
In a stunning return to the Hollywood spotlight, Wendy Williams dropped a chilling declaration. Diddy will spend life in prison. Is this the death knell for the so-called silencing mogul? Sean Diddy Combs appeared in federal court after nearly a decade of silence. Williams' testimony didn't just target the alleged mastermind Diddy, it also dragged a slew of once untouchable power players into the fray. Names that once sat at the pinnacle of the entertainment industry now find themselves under the glaring spotlight of justice, as Williams begins to unravel what she calls Hollywood's unhealed wounds.
He was arrested for assault with a deadly weapon and making terroristic threats.
No longer mere baseless rumors. Wendy's court appearance came armed with documents, testimonies, and long-buried evidence, enough to shatter the walls of lies, piece by piece. So, what drove this woman, once shunned by the industry, to stand up and accuse? Is there an unseen hand backing her, helping her reclaim her spotlight? Or is Wendy herself an indispensable link in a larger plan to topple Diddy and reshape Hollywood's power game? Wendy, you got fired from Hot 97 years ago because of Diddy.
A tense May Day as the trial of Sean Diddy Combs unfolded, the New York federal courtroom fell into a breathless silence when Wendy Williams stepped inside. Gone was the radiant glow of her former days. Her face bore the weariness of a soul long burdened, yet she stood resolute, unshaken. Perhaps because after nearly a decade of silence, Wendy Williams had endured too much. Now appearing in this courtroom, she was determined to expose the man she called the dark mogul of the music industry, Sean Diddy Combs. Under the piercing gazes of those present, Wendy Williams began, her voice low but brimming with resolve.
ISEF stayed silent for too long. ISEF endured late-night threatening calls, advertising contracts yanked without explanation, and warnings as sharp as a blade against my throat, all because I dared to speak Diddy Sep's name. But today, I have nothing left to lose.
The name Diddy has long been synonymous with power, a billionaire media mogul and top-tier music producer who shaped the careers of countless A-list artists. But behind that glittering facade, according to Wendy Williams' testimony, lies an organized system of abuse, an underworld where any voice daring to challenge it is ruthlessly silenced. Wendy recalled her early days in radio when she was repeatedly warned for exposing horrific truths behind the lavish parties Diddy hosted. These parties were described with haunting imagery, for drips hanging overhead, flickering red candles casting shadows in the dark, young women escorted into private rooms, all required to sign non-disclosure agreements before stepping inside. I spoke about those things on air, and within a week, I lost a major advertising deal. It stunned me. A clear, brutal first strike of retaliation, she testified. A chilling picture emerged: psychological pressure, silent terror campaigns, and gradual isolation. Beyond the fear of losing her career, Wendy also faced threatening calls and even attacks from a girl group once backed by Diddy, whom she believes were sent to intimidate her.
Mogul who sent his all-girl group to beat my in front of the radio station.
It was perhaps years of relentless psychological torment from the mogul that ultimately led to Wendy Williams' severe diagnosis, aphasia and frontotemporal dementia, conditions that turned her life upside down. When I started talking about Diddy, she said, her voice steady, I wasn't trying to tear him down. I just wanted people to wake up. She recalled the early 2000s. Diddy was protected, shielded. People warned me not to mention his name because it would scare off sponsors. I thought it was a joke. Then I lost contracts and got fired from my radio job.
I love that you have, 6 kids, 3 babies' moms.
Yes, all taken care of. I met all of them in the same year, so I've known all of them the same amount of time, but we were friends.
As Wendy began recounting the threatening calls, a heavy silence fell over the courtroom. All eyes turned to Diddy. Before she could finish, Sean Combs' lawyer shot up, voice sharp as ice. Objection. There's no concrete evidence those calls came from Mr. Combs. Who were they? What did they say? Does she have recordings? On the defendant's bench, Diddy's hands tightened in his lap. His head stayed down, but his eyes darted, betraying unease. This was no stage. No music. No spotlight. Only the law and cold accusations. Wendy nodded calmly, then signaled. A muffled recording played, a low, menacing voice echoing through the courtroom. "You know what's waiting for you if you keep running your mouth." A murmur rippled through the courtroom, swiftly silenced by the judge's gavel. Wendy then held up yellowed pages, worn by time, marked with dates and slanted handwriting, each a memory, an anonymous call, a vanished contract, a sudden TV removal at her career's peak. Diddy's side visibly tensed. His lawyer rose again, this time with sharper hostility. "Your Honor, all she's presented are personal notes. No photographic evidence. No direct witnesses. Entirely capable of being fabricated to sway public opinion." Diddy remained silent. But the confidence of a seasoned producer was gone, replaced by a look of doubt. Still, Wendy pressed on. She recounted being attacked backstage by girl groups trained by Diddy himself. 2 incidents. 2 ambushes. Venomous words. Blatant intimidation.
The last 30 days, I went out twice for my teeth, you know what I'm saying? And I want my life back.
Diddy's lawyer leapt up again, now mocking. "We're hearing a story straight out of a novel. No photos, no videos, no verifiable evidence. She's crafting a narrative to mislead the public." But the prosecution swiftly countered, asserting Wendy's testimony was one piece of a larger puzzle. Other witnesses, still anonymous, were beginning to come forward. Voices once silenced were now rising, shielded by the law. In the dazzling yet treacherous world of entertainment, Wendy wasn't the only one to glimpse the invisible hand pulling the strings. But she was one of the rare few who dared to stand up. Her defiance made her a thorn in the side of a powerful machine. "I'm no longer afraid they'll silence me," Wendy declared in a hushed courtroom. "The scariest thing is they already did. For 10 years. Her testimony continued, targeting not just Diddy, but also powerful names in his alleged network of accomplices: Tyler Perry, Oprah Winfrey. At that moment, Wendy produced her 2004 book, The Wendy Williams Experience, once dismissed as gossip, now viewed by prosecutors as a breadcrumb trail of coded warning.
One of them grabbed my arm and said, "You know the rules, Wendy. Don't make yourself a pawn anymore," she recalled, her voice catching. I looked into their eyes. I didn't see hatred. I saw fear. They said those things because someone made them.
Jurors exchanged glances. Some scribbled notes. Others looked skeptical. Could words from 2 decades ago serve as evidence? Undeterred, Wendy recounted a 2009 interview with former Bad Boy artist Mark Curry, who called Diddy a shadow that destroys people. She agreed. Shortly after, the interview vanished from radio archives, as if it never happened. Each time she named a critic of the industry, executives like Gene Deal or artists like Jaguar Wright, she faced backlash, threatening emails, FCC complaints, and career sabotage.
They told me I'd ruin everything for them, the station and myself. I had to stop, she said. For me, this trial isn't the start. It's the end of a long cover-up. I've been sounding the alarm for 20 years. Finally, someone's listening.
Looking around the courtroom, Wendy's voice sharpened. But this isn't just about Diddy. She locked eyes with the jury. This is about an ecosystem that protected him, including names never before mentioned in court: Tyler Perry, Oprah Winfrey. Diddy's lawyer stood again, demanding those names be struck from the record, calling it a distraction tactic. The prosecution pressed for clarification. "Hollywood has a list," Wendy said. "Not one you can see or hold, but it exists. A list of people you don't mess with. Break that rule, and you disappear." After a falling out with the Precious team, a film involving both Perry and Oprah, her career collapsed. "I went from premieres to being erased from guest lists. An exec told me, Oprah's people don't want you near him anymore." That's real power. But Wendy didn't label Oprah a monster just for this. She had once confided in Oprah about past abuse. Oprah promised not to exploit it. Yet soon after, Wendy's abuser appeared on Oprah's show, while Wendy was blacklisted. "That wasn't betrayal," she said. "That was revenge."
You know, my family, what is the problem with me calling and talking to friends of mine?
It's clear
the courtroom air grew taut. Wendy, calm yet fierce, presented a dossier, emails, NDAs, internal memos provided by former insiders. These documents, the prosecution claimed, were lawfully submitted, not hacked. Reading from a 2007 NDA, Wendy quoted, "The signee is barred from disclosing any private gatherings, recordings, or interactions with Sean Combs, his guests, or associates, under threat of financial penalty and public retaliation." Public retaliation, she repeated. It runs that deep. Diddy's team countered. NDAs are standard in entertainment. Nothing unusual or illegal. Miss Williams is twisting routine documents into a criminal conspiracy, his lawyer insisted. But the judge cut in, ordering Diddy's team to address evidence, not deflect. Wendy pressed forward. "You think these were just celebrity parties?"
No.
This was a system, planned, funded, scheduled, and executed with precision. She revealed PR payments, instructions to suppress rumors, and a photo of Diddy, Perry, and a crisis PR expert at a 2019 gala. She disclosed being offered a TV deal in exchange for silence. She refused and paid the price: smear campaigns, lost work, isolation. It's clear Wendy's return wasn't just about reputation. The threats, attacks, and silence were the tip of a submerged iceberg. Those weren't just parties, she said. They were rituals, rules, order, and silence bought with NDAs. She described red candles. For drips, girls led into private rooms, all sworn to secrecy. "I tried to speak on air. A week later, a sponsor pulled out. A month later, I was off my own show." For Wendy, these parties symbolized a covert power structure fueled by fear. "Speak out," she said, "and you lose your career, your health, your voice, your entire being." As her testimony ended, she wept, not from weakness, but from the weight of being ignored for 20 years. "You see Diddy on trial," she said, "but I see something bigger. You're defending one man, but behind him stands a tower built on fear, NDAs, power plays, and billion-dollar handshakes." To the jury, and every time someone tried to speak, that tower crushed them. Remember this. She named others: JayZ, Perry, Oprah, labels, and managers who stayed silent or enabled the abuse. "I was called crazy. Now I'm proven right," she said. "I'd rather be right in hell than silent in heaven." Wendy locked eyes with Diddy one last time. "You thought I'd back down, but now you're facing the consequences." She walked out of the courtroom, leaving behind a silence steeped in reflection. The trial pressed on. Diddy's lawyers denied all allegations, dismissing Wendy's testimony as delusion. But beneath the legal rhetoric, everyone knew what was truly on trial. Not just a man, but an empire, built on silence, protected by complicity. Wendy Williams, once seen as a scandalmonger, had emerged as the first voice to shatter that complicity. Whether Diddy is convicted or not, the bell Wendy rang cannot be unrung. The question now isn't just, is Diddy guilty? It's, can one woman, with her truth and her pain, bring down an empire built on lies?